Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into an exciting new story, The Beggar Who Gave Too Much. In the foothills of ancient Magadha, there was a dusty village called Dumara, where famine had worn the bones of every man, woman and child. Crops failed year after year, and even hope had become a rare visitor. But in this village lived a beggar named Sarvaka. Unlike others, he did not complain or hoard. Though he owned nothing but a wooden bowl and a patchy blanket, he always smiled. And every morning he would share half of whatever he was given with someone who was worse off. People called him foolish. "You have nothing, Sarvaka," they'd say. "Why do you always give?" He would only reply back, "A full stomach and an empty heart are the same as an empty bowl." One year, word came that the great Buddha would be passing through Dumara with his disciples. Even famine could not silence the whisper of such a visit. On the day of the arrival, villagers gathered at the edge of the dusty road, hoping for blessings, food, miracles, anything. Sarvaka stood at the back, barefoot, his bowl as always empty. A golden chariot arrived, not of royalty, but bearing the gentle teacher in simple robes. The Buddha walked on foot, staff in hand, his gaze kind and steady. His monks followed quietly. As he approached, people bowed low. The village head offered Buddha honey cakes and coins. The wealthier villagers gave baskets of grain. Sarvaka, on the other hand, came with trembling hands, stepped forward, and in his bowl was a single dried fig, his only food of that day. He held it up. "It's not much, Lord, but it's all I have." The Buddha paused, then smiled deeply. He took the fig, placed it in his own bowl, and bowed low to Sarvaka. "Of all the offerings," the Buddha said to the gathering, "this is the greatest." The crowd murmured in confusion. The Buddha turned to them, "Because he has not given from his plenty, but from his soul." Among the crowd stood Janit, a wealthy grain merchant. He scowled at Sarvaka's recognition. Later that evening, Janit visited the Buddha's camp with a bag of gold. "I wish to offer this in honor of your teachings." The Buddha accepted it calmly. Janit smirked. "Do I receive the same blessing as the beggar who gave the fig?" The Buddha looked at him and said, "If you had given a grain of rice with the same heart as his fig, your gift would be no smaller." Janit turned red. "But surely gold is worth more." "Only to those who count with eyes, not hearts." Days passed. Sarvaka returned to his life of wandering and sharing. But something odd began to happen. Every time he gave away his food, someone else would quietly replace it. He gave away half his rice to a child. Then an old woman left him a sweet cake. He gave away his blanket to a freezing dog. By morning, a new one lay by his side. Villagers began to whisper, "The gods favor him." But Sarvaka only smiled. "What I give returns, not because I ask, but because the world breeds kindness, if you breathe it first." One night, Sarvaka dreamt of a glowing tree with silver leaves. A voice spoke from its roots. "You have given more than food. You have reminded hearts how to beat again." When he awoke, he found his feet taking him to the nearby river. There, seated under a neem tree, was the Buddha. "You have walked far," Buddha said without turning. Sarvaka bowed. "I did not mean to." "You came because the world has noticed you. Even silence travels." Buddha looked at him. "Tell me, Sarvaka, if you had everything, would you still give?" Sarvaka thought and said, "If I had everything, I would give more, because it would finally match what I feel inside." Years later, when the Buddha returned once again to Dharma, he found the village transformed. There were fields again. A school had been built. The poor shared their bread. And at the heart of it all, under a banyan tree, was a small stone statue, not of Buddha, but of a smiling beggar with a wooden bowl. Sarvaka had died during a harsh winter, having given his last blanket to a stranger. The villagers had built the statue in his memory. The Buddha stood before it, closed his eyes, and said, "He gave nothing that could be weighed, but everything that could be felt. In that, he lived the Dharma more than many who wear robes." The bowl Sarvaka once carried now sat at the foot of the statue. Visitors from distant land came to place food in it, and the food was always taken by those who needed it the most. It became known as the bowl that gave without end, and on the stone beneath it was carved the Buddha's words: "The smallest gift, when given with a whole heart, becomes greater than the sun." The moral of the story is that true generosity does not wait for abundance. It flows from compassion even in emptiness. Thank you, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more such fascinating stories. Bye bye, and see you all very soon in my next video.